Mile markers for breakfast, baby. There's just something so American about heading west, you know?
Yeah. Although we are headed east.
Did you know that there was a UFO crash out here 60 years ago?
Please don't tell me you were going out here for some sort of UFO hunt, man. Seriously. Because this trip is about inspiration and peace of mind.
Hey, neighbors! This is from a crash site.
Yeah, the UFO crash site.
It's a piece of foil.
You know what?
You're right.
Nothing special. Oh, look at that.
The foil doesn't prove anything.
This could change our lives, man.
You are meant to be here. There's something very special inside you.
Thanks, man. That means a lot.
No, literally. There's something inside you.
What?
You'll never get out of here, no matter how hard you try. It's all scrambled.
Maybe you could just tell me what's going on.
Every once in a while, somebody comes along with a piece of foil inside of them.
This foil is holding you back.
Then Tom goes to work on it.
We gotta kill Tom before he kills all of us, right?
I'm not gonna shoot my roommate.
We can't shoot him. We can shoot him.
Ah! Holy shit! What are you doing?
Hey, Dex. Some pretty cool stuff going on here, man.
We're doing this thing. Comprende?
Comprende.
Comprende.
I'll do introductions here. We have Zach Green, who's the co-writer and the director and also co-star of Foil, and Chris Doubek, old friend of the podcast, who's and then friend of mine, and Chris is also one of the I would say stars of Foil. You're in I would say the majority of the film.
The core four.
Yeah.
Core four.
The core four. Yeah, who is the other actor? Well, and then of course, not present, unfortunately, today is Devin O'Rourke, who co-wrote the film and who co-stars in it as one of the core four. And who is the fourth? Who is this actor?
Brian McGuire
Brian McGuire
plays the fourth, and also a brilliant indie actor that we both worked with a lot. Doubek.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chris and I go way back. Chris, I don't remember. I can remember importing contacts into your Yahoo account, but no, I remember seeing you with, Alex in sorry?
Karpovsky, Lovers of Hate?
Karpovsky, Lovers of Hate. Karpovsky, before he got girls, did this podcast early on, like a bunch of times.
Oh, wow.
Once he got girls, it was Adam Who. But this is not my grievance podcast. I have another grievance podcast where we discuss hernias and grievances.
Yay!
We'll stick around for that one.
Yeah, we should come on that one. That's real fun. This one's a slog at best. Anyway, and I just remember seeing you in South by Southwest. This had to be in 2011 or 12. I don't even remember what year. But it was like, oh, that's the guy and he had piqued my interest in that film, and he's standing in front of me at the coffee shop, and I'm like, and I remember just sort of starting to talk, and we just over the years, I went to South by a bunch of years in a row, right?
Yeah, we were, we kept seeing each other at festivals and, checking in. It's like a really loose-knit family in that time period, especially in that like mumblecore era.
That's right. Yeah.
The Bujalskis, the Swanbergs, the Zellners,
right.
Poyser, Paul Gordon. I mean, everybody, I'm just thinking of the directors, but I know I'm leaving tons of people out.
Yeah.
Camber, but yeah.
And I can only say, I mentioned before we start recording that I'm sorry, Zach, we'll get to, I promise, Foil, and but that I moved up here, and within a very short time, I found out that Bujalski they were looking, Houston King was looking for somebody up here to do some location scouting for a part of his most recent film. There, well, I should probably remember it since I worked on it,
They're
but
there.
they're there, right?
They're there.
They're there,
Yeah.
and
You're here.
so
They're there. No.
it's neither here nor there at the moment.
Here,
But
there,
but
everywhere.
yeah, I ended up working on the set. We shot a part of the film up here, and right near, not far from Bard at all. In fact, just minutes away. And I ended up on the crew, and am like yourself part of the Bajowski universe.
Oh wow.
So we had that in common, but that's about it.
Very cool.
Anyway, it's so nice to see you both, and Zach, to meet you. So, before we go any further, let me just say Foil, which is a comedy, like a bromance comedy. I mean, I don't think we should ever lose that description, the bromance. I think
It's a heavy bromance for sure.
it's a bromance for
Yeah,
sure.
we've been pairing the words sci-fi buddy comedy.
Oh, I like that, sci-fi buddy comedy, and it's
Stoner.
Little
Oh, yeah.
stoner. None of us smoke pot at any point in the movie, but it feels like we all are the whole time.
Right, and it's not so much as the act of it; it's more of a frame of reference, or a type of genre mind frame, mindset, right?
We've also heard the term a hangout flick, like a hangout movie, just like we're just hanging out.
Yeah, right.
On.
Which, you guys shot this in Texas or in California?
In California.
Okay.
In Joshua Tree and
Oh, I love that spot. Yeah.
and then
It's
a little bit
17
outside of
degrees.
Lancaster.
What's that, Chris?
It was 17 degrees.
It was so cold. The night shoots were so brutal and cold.
Ah.
It was the coldest period of time there on record while we were there. It snowed twice.
What?
That's
Oh,
why
right.
there's snow in the movie, is
Yeah.
that we had to just write it in. It snowed so much that we couldn't cancel any more time and had to just figure out a way to make it make sense that it's snowing.
That's bizarre. That's ridiculous. I figured it was some sort of effect or something. I can't. There
We
is a
like
scene
juiced
where
it up. We
yeah,
juiced
well,
it
yeah,
up.
yeah, right. You used it to the advantage of the film, the story. And I was just in Joshua Tree in January
Oh, cool. Right on.
for the first time, and really had a great time there. But I can say it was definitely cool in the evenings for sure, but
Yeah.
not what you're talking. That's insane. But
Yeah.
do you feel like you pay your dues when you work in that kind of under those kinds of circumstances?
Yeah. I'd say it did feel like going into battle to a degree. Like we're all walking out of a foxhole by the end of it. And the day shoots too were brutal in their own way. I mean, definitely wasn't cool. Still pretty toasty during the day, and it was windy. It was like crazy, crazy windy. It was blowing our canopied, crafty tents, a half mile down the desert, and they're all mangled in the wind.
Oh
and
my God.
It's all getting in our eyes and our mouths, and I mean, Doobie, what was your?
Well, the sound. I thought you were never going to be able to. I thought all that was going to be lost because the sound of the wind was deafening.
I was wondering how you could get audio.
We were actually looking to the sound guy who he had not a dead cat, but like a dead raccoon on his thing, like just a big, fluffy, thick. He's holding that up, and he was kind of a lax sound guy, I'd say, his vibe. And we kept saying, like, should we even be shooting? Like, is it worth our time to shoot? And like, we're all trying to talk, and the best we got out of him was like a shrug. He's like, it's a coin flip. Like the loft should probably get it. And I'm shocked. We ADR'd such a hilariously small amount of that movie, and I there were whole scenes that we'd wrap the scene, and it's not like as a director I'm gonna like announce to everyone like we're ADRing that entire sequence. Like that's kind of what I assumed at the time was like this desert's eating our sound alive. But we're okay.
Well, so he was deceptively lackadaisical.
Yes.
But he knew what he was doing.
He didn't want to. Yeah, he didn't want to oversell the quality. But yeah, it sounds good. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
So, were you a big fan of the X-Files, Zach?
You know, the X-Files came out. I was young enough for when the X-Files came out. It was a thing that I was supposed to be in bed. My dad would stay up and watch it. He'd click around on his. He had one of those sharper image Star Trek phaser clickers, and you
Mm-hmm.
could when you click the button, it would make the Star Trek sounds, and so I could hear him downstairs watching,
Really?
and I could sneak out of bed occasionally and watch it with him and scare the shit out of myself and have nightmares and whatnot. So when it was airing, I was like a little too young to like be a true fan. It was more like I had to hype myself up to see if I could survive an episode. Um, but since then, yeah, you could absolutely call me a fan. I mean, I wish I wish I was more well versed than I am, but you know, Devin O'Rourke, the sort of co-creator of the film, and myself, that was definitely an early thing we connected over. Was just the paranormal, cryptozoology, just like, you know, the truth is out there kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And that, you know, that's definitely that's all over foil. So
It certainly is. And how did you come by casting Doobie as you refer to him?
you know, Doobie and I actually we acted together in Lovers of Hate. I was
You were in that.
the little squirt in the security booth that lets you into the neighborhood.
Oh, okay. Because it's hard to find on, you know, for better for worse. Is it my imagination, or is that available to if somebody wanted to see that somewhere?
Amazon.
It's on
Yeah,
Amazon. Oh,
on
that's
Amazon.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
For a
Amazon
period
Prime.
there, I remember it was kind of hard to find,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah, we never got a
Um,
DVD yet.
What's that, Chris?
Yeah.
We never got a DVD, but then again,
Oh.
nobody gets DVDs anymore.
No, we're past that mark. Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't
Um,
have screeners. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
remembered working with Chris when you were a youngster.
You're 18, 19? How old were you then?
On set, I was 19. So by the time
Yeah.
we were at Sundance, I was 20. Yeah.
Mhm.
Wow.
The first time on a professional set of any kind ever at all. That was my first on set
Whoa,
experience.
I
Yeah.
didn't know that. Wow, you're a pro. And he was the comic relief in our. He played the gatekeeper of the actual gated community that I had to crash,
Right.
and yeah, such a great scene. Yeah.
It was a really fun scene. So we did actually shoot at a gated community, and they decided they did not want us shooting in the guard shack there. And so we had this kind of panic at the last second of like, how do we do this? And clever Poiser like just put the camera really tight over my shoulder, and I just stood on an apple box, and the car drives up, and that's me in the guard shack. I'm actually out like on the road shooting on top of the apple box. And then we had to like change our whole scene, if you remember, Doobie, like where I like chase you down in my car,
Yes.
and we get out of the car and we're fighting about what's going on. And we kind of had to mold and improv that whole scene to fit the bones of the dialogue that would have taken place at the guard shack.
Right.
And that's what I remember is like you were just so game to do that. And I was so young and nervous about doing that at all, and you were so like kind of nurturing to accepting that. It was very fun.
That's all we do in indie film, right? It's like improv and marry the bones, you know.
Adapt or die. Yeah.
Adapt or die.
Well, yeah, and you have to find solutions, right?
Yeah.
It's all about finding solutions.
Yeah. Right the snow in, you know. That's
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think something like, you know, Titanic size can maneuver so quickly. It takes them, you know, days just to avoid that ice flow, which they
Right.
don't end up doing, you know. So it's very true. You had your wherewithal also to not be so attached to everything,
totally.
you know.
But as far as arriving on Doobie for this part, Devin and I were writing the film, you know, it was deep COVID when we even started putting pen to paper on it. So we had a lot of time to expand the idea. It was originally just going to be like a short, like a 1 day, almost like a 1 act play or something of just me and Devin in the desert with the foil. And then the longer we talked about it, the more it expanded into a bigger, crazier, wilder idea. And yeah, pretty early, I was thinking about Doubek for the part. I knew he'd moved out here. He's been out here, and I've been wanting to work with him and figure out something for us to do. And if there was any silver lining to the lockdown and everything, it was that when I placed a call to Chris Doubek and to Brian McGuire and to Ashley Spillers, and everyone I called is shockingly very available because we're all trapped at home and not working. So, although, dude, you were working on Winning Time at the time, and so there was a little bit of a question mark.
Yeah, that was a rough spot there. I think it was Reasonable Doubt. It was like one of my first.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of my first recurring co-stars, and there was so like I didn't really understand the concept. I didn't understand scheduling. I didn't understand like, well, I could be in this episode and I could be in this, and we were shooting out of order, and we're going to do this episode first and then that. But not only were the episodes like obviously not shot in order, but like I wouldn't get because they're trying to come in under budget, so I wouldn't get my schedule till the very latest. And I mean, it was just hard because I committed to do this project, and then all of a sudden all these other things started to appear. And yeah, it was just a crazy another thing you have to juggle in film is everybody's schedule. And
we basically played a game of chicken with that production where you were sort of telling me like, I don't have the schedule yet. And it was, I think it got up to like maybe like 3 days before we were gonna go out in the desert and like do the mega shoot on this. And it was just me and Doubek just like, we're not blinking. We're gonna, maybe like at 3.5 days, that was when I finally was like, do I maybe need to call a couple people and see if someone can just like magically swoop in. But I had a feeling. I was like, we're gonna be okay. That's honestly that feeling is what got us through so much of the shoot. I mean, us being so indie, so shoestring. Had one of us tested positive for COVID at any point on that shoot, because we had to test every 3 days or something.
Right.
That shutdown would have sunk us. We just didn't have enough time to reassemble and re-rent and redo. It was a real gamble.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God! How did nobody get COVID? That's amazing.
I have no idea how no one got COVID on that. Especially when, I won't say which crew member, but at one point toward the end of it, one crew member revealed to me, because the idea was supposed to be closed circle set. We're all staying in B&Bs together offset. Don't leave the B&B. Don't go out into the world. Just
right.
Keep contained. And on the last day, they're like, yeah, I've been going to the Indian casino every night playing poker after show. I'm like, it's like the worst. A casino like every night.
Well, when you said don't go out, don't go anywhere, I didn't think you meant there. That just, oh my gosh. I imagine, you guys made it through. Just sounds like squeaking through there, but it's like, I wonder how many productions, did get shut down because of COVID, or like, or where they were shooting and all of a sudden, I mean, I've heard anecdotally of a bunch, but so.
I know. No, it's crazy.
Was this shot in 2020? I mean,
2021, 2021 and 22.
Okay.
We shot the first act of the film in September 21, and then had a big break and finished it. The big mega desert shoot was February, March of 22.
Okay. Right. Winter. Yeah. But
which was not the plan, by the way. We were supposed to shoot it all back in the September of 21, but the Joshua Tree location fell through at the last second.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, it became like a, lemonade out of lemons, where, it actually gave us time to fully cut together all of Act 1 in those months leading up to the next shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember this, Doubek, but that bar scene where me and Devin meet, that wasn't in the original thing. All of that dialogue was also in that Bronco scene. And so we cut all that together and we're like, this Bronco scene's like 15 minutes. Like, oh my God, this is terrible. We got to get out of this Bronco.
Got to get out of the Bronco. Yeah.
Kind of saved the day for us to like have enough time to look at it, kind of rewrite it, add that scene. And then that bar scene is actually the very last scene that we shot in that next shoot. in
Yeah.
2022, and I think kind of saves Act One. It really dragged being in the Bronco for that one. So
A vortex, a place where there are no handles.
Do you want to
Yeah.
like, actually, since you brought up the vortex, do you guys want to like mention maybe a bit of more of a description so people have a little bit more context?
Sure.
Because I've probably got like aunts and uncles watching.
Absolutely. So, Foil, it's a sci-fi buddy comedy about two fellas meeting up around their 10-year high school reunion. They haven't really been friends in that time, but they reemerge. One is played by myself, who's a failed filmmaker in Hollywood. He's struggling, trying to figure out his next move. The other is Devin O'Rourke, the co-writer, co-star, also editor of the film. And he's sort of hasn't left home, dropped out of high school toward the end there, sort of just running in place a little bit. And he convinces my character to go out into the desert, skip our reunion, go out to the desert to visit a vortex, which, out in Sedona, those are real things. They're like these sort of energy fields that are generated by, mysterious paranormal means. And
And when you say that there are out there, are you framing it that there are people that believe that these are those types of vortexes, or you think you're saying they actually are energy
Great
fields? You know what I mean?
I think it does seem like, we did look into vortexes and whatnot while we were
I'm
writing.
sure.
And it does seem like there are, at least on like a magnetic level, significant things happening in certain areas of the earth. Whether or not those have actual effects on us or on the things around us is hard to say. Like on like a very particle physics level, I can understand how magnetism can obviously change whatever's going on.
Yeah, maybe
As
the
to what
flow of the
that
toilet water. That
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
Yeah.
It reverses the
Yeah.
but I visited Sedona myself while we were writing, and I'd like to think that just in the same way that even just thought and perception can change things, what's that particle versus wave of just, watching or observing can change the behavior of, do you know what I'm talking about? That experiment. It's like the particles behave as a wave when you're not observing. When you look, they actually behave in a different way.
Ah, that's very pertinent, isn't it?
It is. It's like that's like a proven physics thing that like kind of doesn't. It's like one of those things where we've all accepted, like, yeah, that's true, but also like what that means is kind of crazy. So anyway, that's a very long, rambly way of saying like I am open to all of this stuff, but I can't personally like verify.
Right. Makes
But
sense.
you made the sci-fi part of it very personal too, because there's I think a very personal story related, in much the same way that like really early Star Trek or like fun, and you could talk about some of your influences too, but like science fiction always seems to go back to the big questions, right? The big philosophical questions. And um and that's some of the things that we dealt with there. And you were very generous because you sort of allowed me to riff a little bit, like my character, we're not quite sure about this guy, is he the freak and you're the magnet, and and then and then later we discover, I won't spoil it for anyone, but we discovered things about him that weren't apparent.
Mm-hmm.
But I also felt like, what's interesting is that there's this foil, much like stardust, right? That's in us, but it's in particular people because it's fuel for the alien spaceship. I probably already said too much if somebody's going.
Part of me, I don't mind because I want people to know that when you're going into this, we don't find a clever indie workaround. Like when we say we're sci-fi, we're sci-fi.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
It's
a genre film.
But okay, but anyway, just to quickly finish the synopsis, when we go out to the vortex, right? Rex, Devin's character, my best buddy, reveals that he thinks there was an alien UFO crash out there. And he, since high school, has been claiming that he had a personal close encounter himself. He thinks this is going to have answers for his experience. And that's when we run into the other core four of the cast, Doubek, who is a interesting neighbor next door at the next campsite, and Brian McGuire, who he calls himself Rambo, a kind of also interesting mountain climber in the area. But they all seem to are aware of this UFO story, and Doubek's character has a piece of foil that he claims is memory foil from the crash itself, and that's sort of when everything unwinds for everyone. And I'm glad you said that, Doobie, about we took the UFO aspect of it and Devin's character Rex's sort of trauma from his close encounter pretty seriously, and we did reference specific interesting detailed close encounter stories that people do claim have happened to them. And I think the biggest one that Devin leaned on for his monologue was Rendlesham. I don't know if y'all have heard of that case, but very interesting UFO case in the UK. Devin's gonna kill me because he actually knows this stuff. I'm just more of a fan, and he's he gets it. But these guys on a military base in the UK see something land in the forest. They go and investigate. It's a ship in the forest. This guy touches the ship, and binary code gets burned into his brain to the point where when he closes his eyes, it's in his subconscious, this code. And when he writes the code down onto a piece of paper, that translates into the exact coordinates where he was when he touched the ship. Which is a very out there, weird. And I think what's interesting about it is that it happened to two guys, and they both had the same burned in thing. And anyway, all to say, we're thrilled that we finally actually did a podcast on a real paranormal UFO podcast, and that's the first thing they had to say was how much they appreciated that this wasn't just another crazy grays running around, these aliens with their ray guns. It actually the story of the lore behind the alien stuff and what happened to these people is actually taken pretty seriously and based in yeah, it's not just that the movie is silly, but that stuff isn't, and that's kind of an interesting blend.
Well, Foil is now, I mean, is currently on digital platforms?
Yeah, we got it on Apple TV. We got it on Amazon.
Okay, so people can watch it right after this conversation.
Absolutely. You can go to foilmovie.com, and that has both links on there. Also, all of our reviews, press, info about us, Chris, the trailer. It's all on there. Foil movie.
Everything you want. Everything
you could ever need.
Can we order a t-shirt or a hat?
What's that?
Can we order a hat or a t-shirt? Yes. Information on hernias. Yes.
We might sell watering holes posters. What do you think about that?
Okay.
Well, and so Zach, what are you up to? Do you have some future? Are you working on? I mean, it's been obviously quite a while since you launched that whole project, and it's out there in the world now for all sort of terrestrials and extraterrestrials to view. And what are you working on?
I just actually, you'd think I would have jumped to the next thing by now, but us being such a small team, we wore a lot of hats through post-production as well. And
sure,
this is our first time getting through distribution and getting through all that stuff. So it was a learning experience all the way up until I'd say January, of this year. But did have another idea cooking, took a little Sundance collab course, kept me on rails, and I got a full draft out 2 weeks ago for the next thing. I'd say it's very similar to Foil if you were to just swap the desert for the beach, and if you were to swap the aliens for monsters, monster flick, not a sci-fi flick, but same tone otherwise of hangout comedy. And I'm excited about it. Yeah, I think it's good. The main thing I want to lean on for it is I want to really like champion practical effects and like various practical effects legends in it. So that in itself, if I pitch that to anyone, they're like, "Oh, so the most expensive thing ever." So I need to get clever in how to fund such an idea. But that's the main thing I want to focus on next.
Cool.
And Zach also has a background in theater, and I've seen him perform comedies, namely The Producers. And
Oh,
my God, that
That was
was
Leo Bloom.
yeah.
whoa.
No. I definitely would have cast you as Leo Bloom. I mean, and in a way, you kind of see a little bit of the dynamic. I mean, Devin could kind of be the Bialystock, Max Bialystock to your Leo Bloom for sure. You know,
We should do The
and
Producers.
Doubek.
Dude.
You know, Doubek could play. What was the Ken? What was his name in the movie, the original movie? You know,
Zero Mostel.
who plays the Nazi?
Oh,
No. I'm sorry. I'm casting the rest of our version of producers. It's
yes.
anyway. It's okay. That's that too can be on our hernia podcast. We don't have to pursue that, but that's and
You can sing
do you
Springtime for Hitler really quick.
what's that? Springtime for
sing
Hitler. Yeah.
Real quick.
Don't be stupid, be a schmotty. Yeah. Chris, what was your what were you referencing earlier that you had trouble potentially scheduling this where it came down to the wire with you were working on some sort of episodic or something?
Right. I was fortunate enough to be a recurring co-star on a Hulu show called Reasonable Doubt, and
Oh.
they're having their second season. Unfortunately, I did not survive. My character died in the first season. So, but that was.
They never stopped you before death of a character. Why do you give up so easily?
I know, right? That's like there's flashbacks. Come on, guys! I can look 20 years younger. Just let me know. We can have a little.
The brother
flashback.
comes in. The brother, looks amazingly similar. We're not identical twins. You can almost use it as a joke. And so, anything else you're excited about?
I'm very excited about something I just finished, Adam. It's I was so surprised that something like this could ever be written, and when I read it, it was like, "Oh, did you write this for me?" I guess. And sometimes when I read Zach's piece, I kind of felt that too. But
Right.
this guy didn't know me. But so basically, it's a story of a guy who his best friend at work gets canceled for some very off-color, maybe racial jokes online that he sends through his work email, and as a result, the boss has everybody read White Fragility. We don't use the term white fragility in the it's another book. And so I read it, and I have an epiphany, and I have a reconciliation and overcompensation, and I grab the first black homeless man I can find, invite him for dinner, insist that he stay over, all without permission from my family. I think it's a comedy, but
it's probably kind of dark,
it's a dramedy,
right?
But
So
yeah, it
it's
was
a bromance.
not a bromance.
No, okay.
Oh,
Interracial bromance.
Actually, now that you say it, yeah, I think it is.
Did it snow at all?
It didn't snow. we had a night scene. It was a chilly 65 degrees at night.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible.
Yeah, that was so that was a rather long short, but maybe that will
Oh, it's a short?
It's 27 pages. To me, that's in a category by itself. So we'll see how that
Yeah, that's kind of that awkward length that festivals really love. It's more than 2 minutes. Well, we'll have to bring it out to the Woodstock Film Festival.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I work with them, and I probably can get anything you're working on in there as far as.
Fabulous.
But yeah, we're all over to my son, by the way, is going to be relocating. I'm not sure exactly when, but it'll either be very shortly or later in the summer. We'll be living full time out in LA.
Oh, well, we'll
He
have
just
to
turned 20 this week, and his mother is now full time in going to be full time in She gave up her Brooklyn spot and
Okay.
has a house now in Hollywood area.
Oh wow.
So I'll be
And
coming out there even more. I mean, we generally been getting out there once a year, but
please call me, and when you're out here, we can find we can grab Longstreet and we can take a hike, or
and
or
we'll
even
have to.
just
Yeah, we can bring
we can bring Zach. Yes, we can grab
Zach Green along. I think he'd have a great time. Yeah, have a lovely time
You
together.
should meet Devin too. Devin would love to meet you sometime.
Devin. Yes.
Oh yeah, that would be terrific. I'd love to. And we can bring him on. And
And McGuire.
Are
If he's
Tim McGuire.
not
no,
too
fuck
deep
him.
in,
Fuck that guy. Well, wait, who's well, do you know Zach, do you know Robert Longstreet?
No, I do not.
Do you know who he is?
That rings a bell.
Okay, good.
Is he out here?
It's good. No, that's exactly what we want
Okay.
when we get together. I haven't seen Longstreet in a while. I would love to catch up with him too.
yeah. We do self tapes together occasionally. He's should do more of those. He's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. All right, guys. I want to let you get on with your Sundays. The name of the movie again is called Foil, Foil, and it is currently on Apple TV and Amazon, and quite easy to see. You can go there right now. We'll show the trailer, and at least, or we'll have the trailer precede this conversation, over the video and audio, whatever. So people get a flavor for what we're talking about. So it's not like they're coming in completely cold if they should make it this far into our conversation. But I had a real pleasure meeting you, and Chris, always glad to stay in connected. And if you ever find your way up to the East Coast, please,
It's
please
beautiful.
don't contact me. No, I kid.
I want to hear some of your music in person.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I've been really it's a big part of my life now again, which is nice. And I work in a radio station, music radio station, so
A radio station that plays music.
I know it's very unusual, very unorthodox. No, it's a good old-fashioned independent radio station. We play music. It has a real WKRP. This is a reference Zach may not get. WKRP kind of story in that the guy who founded it, an older, by the time he was an older guy more recently. He died unexpectedly. This is before I got there. And his wife, his widow, had the opportunity to sell it. She was approached by a number of corporations that wanted to buy up the radio station because it was, has a loyal listenership, but she refused. She wanted to continue her husband's vision for the station, which was to keep it independent. And by the way, not a moneymaker. Not that different from independent film in most cases. And so it continues, and we continue her husband's vision for, the station, and pretty
That's
cool.
great.
Pretty cool story. Yeah, and what they're doing is very special, I have to say, and it just has further immersed me in music because I go to see shows all the time, and I really love it, and it's wonderful.
I still have an antenna on my car. I still have my Kenwood radio, and I'm still like.
Yeah, sure. Well, well, that my station won't come in, I can guarantee you, in LA, but you can listen to it. You can stream it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Anyway, I'll let you guys go, and I will see you guys. I will be out there soon. And probably coming out at least a couple of times a year, since my son will be there. So
Yeah, please stop by.
I
Love
know.
it.
I look forward to it. All right, guys. Thank you for carving out some time on a Sunday morning.
Absolutely.
Go get
Thanks
your
for having
coffee.
us.
Go get some breakfast. And we'll do it again.
We'll do it again.
All right.
You don't have to edit this at all, do you?
No,
One take, one
I
day.
sure do. Why would I edit it? It's beautiful. It's real life, man. It's what people
Yeah.
want.
That's the wax and film wax, huh?
That's right.
Stuff in
There
your
you go.
ears.
Well said. All right. Guys, take care.
All right, take care, Adam. Good seeing
All
you.
right, really
seeing
good to see you
Zach.
both. Nice to meet you, Zach.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I don't know if Caitlin's listening in, but
Oh, she might have popped out. I saw her
okay.
square.
Oh, okay. Well, we
Fatal.
love her. She's the best.
Oh, and quick shout out. I just realized that my friend David X. Levine, this is his work. It's all colored pencil, and it's great stuff. If you
Very
go to his
cool.
stuff, David X. Levine.
Wow, you just kind of had to stick that in there, huh? And
Is that yeah?
on
It's,
art, you getting a percentage of his artwork sales?
well, no, I turned I turned off my camera and then I turn it back on again.
Oh, and
you
you
know,
saw it prominently in your realizing you should probably refer like yeah.
it it's like it's not the Mona Lisa. It's not recognizable.
All right, well, I
maybe
see what you mean. Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
And I just renamed myself. Will that come up too? There we go.
It just says Chris Doubek there. Is that what you
All right.
wanted?
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Really appreciate it. It's great to see you guys.
Thanks again.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye.